Hey everyone, welcome to A Plan for Western Civilization Part 1, Health is Wealth. I'm going to start out by just giving you a little bit of information and background about myself, and then I'm going to step over to the computer and show you some details about this plan. I think people are ready for this. I think there's some hunger for this, and take a look, see what you think, and let's make this happen if it looks like a good idea to you. So here's a little bit of background about me. I'm a subtle energy medicine practitioner. I studied under Dr. Barbara Brennan back around 2000, 2005, that period. Dr. Brennan was an atmospheric physicist for NASA who started her own subtle energy medicine school, which I graduated from. That's an interesting story if you want to look into her work. I'm also the founder of the Foundation for Highly Sensitive Physiology, which is an organization that is devoted to addressing an evolutionary strategy that's present in about a third of the human population, as well as observed in over 100 species now. But I'm not going to talk about that today. What I want to talk about is this Plan for Western Civilization, Part 1, Health is Wealth. And before I get into that, I just want to give a little bit more information about myself and my own health journey. So I was born in 1974, and in 1988, at the age of 14, I was poisoned by a pharmaceutical drug. It was actually a chemotherapy treatment that was marketed as medicine. So as a teenager, I was undergoing chemotherapy without knowing it or realizing it. And what that looked like was regularly losing control of my bowels, severe stomach cramping on a daily basis for 3 to 6 months. I actually don't remember how long I was on this treatment, and I was in severe pain, but nobody really took notice of it or said anything about it, and so I just learned to deal with it. Unfortunately, that pain got worse. So it started off while I was on the medication, but there was severe damage done to my gut and microbiome, and the warnings for this medication had not been issued yet. It was later shown to cause miscarriages and suicidal ideation, and suicide were some known side effects. And because of the time that I took it, I essentially was an experiment, and my life was destroyed. I went on to suffer immensely for about 35 years, not realizing what had happened to me. And the other thing that happened was that my digestive efficiency was damaged by this treatment, and I began to, well, I think even without this kind of medical situation from a pharmaceutical drug, people will still deal with this. So basically, I grew up with the USDA food pyramid, nutritional guidance from the federal government, and the long-term cumulative effect of that was that I became metabolically ill. So I was eating, as a young man, I was eating bowls of frosted mini wheats and milk and lots of carbohydrates, and as my health deteriorated from the pharmaceutical situation over the years, I became more and more reliant on carbohydrates for energy, and I became more and more tired and more sick. And I did eventually manage to heal from all this. As you can see, a couple years ago, I was so incapacitated that I couldn't even get off the couch, much less hold a conversation, much less present any kind of information like this. So in some sense, I'm a living, breathing example of what I'm talking about, or what I'm proposing with this plan. I've had to live it and learn it and deeply understand it. So when we talk about, so let's go ahead and I'll jump over to the computer and start talking about this model, give you some details, and then come back and wrap up with how this all plays out. Okay, so let's jump over. Okay, so here's the new general integrated healthcare model. And what this is a replacement structure for the current healthcare system in Western countries, at least, which is broken. Something to understand about this model is that it is holistic or integrated in the sense that it simply recognizes the interrelationships between the various aspects of a person's health. Okay, so let's start at the top with mental and emotional health, obviously a big topic today. You can see immediately that it's connected to dietary health and physical health. So the foods that we eat very much impact our mental and emotional states. Whether or not we're exercising on a regular basis does the same thing. Dietary health is linked to gut health. The significance here being that essentially we have an entire civilization. Each of us has an entire civilization living in our digestive system. So I believe that current estimates are that the number of healthy bacteria that live in the human digestive system are roughly equivalent to the number of cells that we have in our bodies. So it's quite literally a second body. And the idea that the presence of this community is insignificant is ridiculous. The microbiome, the healthy bacteria in the gut are producing, for example, somewhere between 85 and 95% of serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter that very directly affects how we feel, how we experience the world, how we think. So it's a huge topic and a major part of human health. And then let's move on to metabolic health. So metabolic health, what does that mean? Metabolic health is referring to the chemical pathways in the body. So that's what the metabolism is. And it can be, when we're talking about metabolic health, we can be talking about cellular function. In other words, what's going on in each cell of the body with the mitochondria, for example. Metabolic health also refers to things like neurotransmitter production, which directly impact the way that we think and feel. It impacts reward systems in the body. It affects physical functioning of the body, muscular function, nervous system function. Very dense topic, very important. And there are relationships between the microbiome and gut health and metabolic health, very direct relationships. Keeping this brief, let's move on. So we have relational health, and what that means is what it says. How are the relationships in your life? How are your relationships with your family, with your children, with your friends, with your husband or wife? How are your relationships with your community, with the natural world, with your society? Another huge topic critical to the health of the individual. And then we'll swing back up to physical health. Again, if you're not exercising, you're not going to be feeling great. So I think of all these topics, physical health is the most well understood, and it's come under fire in recent years. And so we're going to reinforce the importance of physical health. It's not something to be debated. And then that again ties into mental and emotional health. So overall, this model, it just provides a comprehensive framework for healthcare providers as well as individuals to be looking at their own health and determining where they can improve. The model is efficient in that it can provide the ability for individuals to do some diagnostic work on their own in a general sense. It also provides a foundation for an integrated network of healthcare providers. So right now in America, for example, we very much have a model of the general practitioner where an individual is regularly seeing one doctor, and that doctor is responsible for their health, essentially. And what we have to do is it's time to break away from that model and put the power and the emphasis on a person's individual health back in the hands of the individual. And that's not to discount the importance or efficacy of general practitioners or Western healthcare providers. It's just that the system is it's tilted, it's out of balance. And we want to give the individual more ability to effectively take control of their own health, be responsible for their own health, and make that the societal norm. And so this model provides a way to do that. And it provides a structure for an integrated healthcare network of specialists who focus on the different areas of this model. So for relational health, you might be seeing a therapist or a guidance, some kind of guide there. For metabolic health, you'd want to be talking with a metabolic specialist. For gut health, you'd want to be talking with someone who specializes specifically in gut health. Same thing for dietary health. What's interesting is that a lot of the top circle, mental and emotional health, a lot of that gets cleared up by addressing these other issues, which is great. We spend a lot of time and energy trying to figure out how to deal with mental and emotional health issues right now. But if we get more, as a society, if we get more fluent and effective with these other areas, then a lot of those mental and emotional health issues take care of themselves. And I could say more about that topic, but I'm gonna cap it here for this presentation. And so let's talk about how this GoFundMe works and where we're headed with this and why you might want to get on board. So I want to talk a little bit about what this GoFundMe is for, and then I want to wrap up by talking about how the healthcare model fits into this part one of this plan, fits into a larger model for Western civilization. So briefly, the GoFundMe, what this is for is we're raising money to just publish a body of information about the healthcare model, and then to begin the outreach campaign to get that out to healthcare providers across the country. And if this starts going into other countries, we'll deal with that as well. So essentially, it's content publication and development and informational campaigns. Now, as far as this larger plan for Western civilization, some of the other things that are going to be covered, for example, the next topic is going to be education. We start with health because if we have kids, if we're poisoning our kids, making them unwell through the foods they eat, then it's going to be hard for them to learn. And another part of the plan that we're going to address is government and government spending. It doesn't make any sense to be subsidizing food systems that are making people sick on the one hand, and then paying exorbitant use of taxpayer dollars for healthcare treatment on the other end. It's a completely broken system. And an important part of bringing down the national deficit and getting spending under control is to simply spend less money. That we have a lot of manufactured health crises that are costing a lot of money. Unfortunately, you could say it's by design. It's just kind of comes out of human nature and some crony capitalism. In any case, the solution is to get healthy. As a nation, as societies, when we're physically healthy, mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, then we're more productive, and we're not wasting all this money on healthcare. So that's a basic overview. I invite, the idea is that people will see the value of this, they'll get on board, we can raise this initial some to get this information together and start getting it distributed. This is an overview of part one of this plan. I don't know where you'll see this, but we'll try to respond to questions that you may have. Please share this information around, let other people see it. Really, in order to do this, we need to get a broad base of people on board who understand where this is going, why it's important for society. And so that's it for today. Thanks for watching. All right, bye-bye.